In the city of Lagos, where dreams jostle between exhaust fumes and faith as thin as rice paper, a poor delivery man with an old motorbike and a torn delivery box has found the true love of his life. Who is he? Let's uncover this sweet, pure love story and the mysteries behind his identity. If you're following this channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and let us know where you're watching from. On the top floor of the Coral Crown Hotel in downtown Lagos, a crystal chandelier cast a gentle light over a lavish engagement party. Hand-embroidered silk dresses, South African wine, and a string quartet playing Chopin. Everything was perfect. Everything, except Ezekiel Omari's mood. The 30-year-old man stood beside an untouched glass of champagne, his gaze quietly observing the smiles around him, a sea of people who loved the name Omari Group more than his own. He had once thought he would get used to it, that being born into a billionaire family meant every relationship came with a price. But tonight, when his fiancée, Saad, handed him her phone with a smile as sweet as candy. "Zeke, you're no longer in the top 10 Forbes billionaires of Nigeria this year." "What happened?" She said it right in front of their friends, in front of the cameras, without the slightest interest in his answer. Ezekiel set his glass down and walked away. 3 days later, in the boardroom on the 40th floor of Omari Group. "I need to take some time off," Ezekiel said, his voice calm but firm. His assistant was stunned. "Mr. Ezekiel, the quarterly shareholders' meeting." "I'll be back," Ezekiel interrupted. "But right now, I need to know if anyone still loves me when I have nothing." That evening, he stepped into a tailor shop in the Yaba district and picked out a delivery uniform. Wrinkled khaki pants, an old brown t-shirt, a baseball cap. The name tag on the shirt read, Zik. He looked at himself in the mirror. No longer a CEO. No longer the man everyone bowed to. Only a man, searching for something money can't buy. "I'm going to make deliveries," he said to himself, then smiled. "And maybe someday, I'll deliver my own heart to the right person." On the first morning at branch number 12 of Omari Express, a light rain fell, just enough to test the patience of newcomers to Lagos. Under a leaky corrugated roof, Zik, formerly known as Ezekiel, was fumbling to secure a delivery box onto the old motorbike issued to staff. "Be careful with Miss Amara's cake at 26 Africanoflames Street," warned Mr. Musa, the branch manager. "She's known to be less than pleasant if a delivery's late." Zik nodded, pulling his face mask up to cover half his face. The order was clear: 1 3-tier vanilla cake, 2 boxes of rose cupcakes, delivery before 9 a.m. He checked his watch. 8:34. Enough time. If the traffic's light. Lagos is never light on traffic. By the time Zik arrived at the small bakery named Amara's Whisk, the clock struck exactly 9:13. He hadn't even finished parking the bike when the glass door flew open and a sharp female voice cut through the air. "You call this on time?" Zik looked up. Standing before him was a young woman, about 25, with smooth dark brown skin like pure cocoa, her braided hair tied up neatly, a white apron dusted with flour. Her eyes, sharp, intelligent, and guarded. "I'm sorry. Adicanal was flooded this morning. I had to take a detour. My client is waiting for a wedding cake, not a birthday cake for an ex. Bring it in." Without a word, Zik carefully carried the cake inside. But the cement floor was slick from the rain. His foot slipped slightly, tilting the cake. As he bent to steady it, he bumped the counter, and one of the cupcake boxes toppled to the ground. "Oh my God!" Amara shouted, rushing over. "I use real roses in my cupcakes, imported from Ghana. Do you even know how much that costs?" Zik bent down, picked up the box gently, and placed it on the table. "I know what it's worth." And I'll pay for it. Amara stared at him. She was ready to unleash a storm. But something in his eyes, not fear, not submission, made her pause. Zik was simply calm. "What's your name?" she snapped. "Zik," he replied. Zik. Like the sound of a clock. Or like someone who shows up a few minutes late but tries to make it right with all his heart. He offered a small smile. Amara let out a laugh. A soft one, but genuine. She folded her arms and nodded toward the door. "Go. Next time, be early." Zik turned to leave, but his eyes lingered on the hand-painted sign in the window. Amara's Whisk, where dreams are whipped into reality. A bakery, a girl, and maybe something beginning today, he thought, as he started the engine. Outside, the rain had just stopped. A week after the cupcake incident, Zik thought he'd never see Amara again. But on Tuesday, while checking the delivery bags in the warehouse, Mr. Musa called out loudly, "Zik, cake for Amara's Whisk. Be careful this time, she still remembers your name." Zik chuckled to himself. If she forgot, then Lagos must have run out of traffic. He sped through the crowded streets, weaving past exhaust fumes and blaring horns, heading toward the little bakery tucked between a mechanic shop and a tailor store. This time, he arrived early. Very early. The shop wasn't even open yet. He parked the bike and waited on the seat, watching people pass by, listening to the bean cake vendors' chants and Afrobeats drifting from across the street. After a while, the bakery door swung open. Amara, still in her flour-dusted apron, was surprised to see him. Here early to avoid getting scolded? Zik smiled. "No. Just making sure today the roses stay intact." Amara smiled back. No sarcasm this time, just gently, naturally. Zik handed over the order. She checked it. This time, no mishaps. As he turned to leave, she called out, "Have you had breakfast?" Zik raised an eyebrow. "This morning I had roadside fumes." "No joke. I just baked the first batch of banana bread. Still warm." Zik hesitated, then stepped inside. The scent of butter, ripe bananas, and vanilla wrapped the room like a warm blanket. She handed him a small loaf, wrapped in a paper napkin. "Thanks for not breaking anything today. And if I promise to mess up next time, do I get more free cake?" They both laughed. But then, the mood softened. Amara sat down on a low stool, brushing flour off her cheek. "I know you're not a regular delivery guy." Zik paused. His heart skipped slightly. "Not because you're rich or fancy, but because you look people in the eye when you talk. Like you're listening with your heart, not just your ears." Zik swallowed gently, then said, "I make deliveries, but I'm also looking for something. Maybe a reason to stay." Amara looked up. Their eyes met. Not for long, but long enough for the silence to mean something. Behind them, the oven chimed. Ting! A fresh batch was done. Amara stood up. "Next time you come by, I'll let you try the ginger cake. Fair warning, it's spicier than I am." Zik smiled. "I like a challenge." That afternoon, on his way back to the warehouse, it began to pour. Zik parked the bike, standing under the thin sheet metal awning, but the smile never left his face. "She didn't ask if I was rich. Didn't wonder about my background. She just gave me cake and listened." For the first time in years, Ezekiel Omari, now just Zik, didn't feel heavy hiding his real name. Thursday afternoon, the skies over Lagos were a dull gray, as if warning of a storm waiting just beyond the clouds. Inside Amara's Whisk, Amara was focused, delicately attaching rose petals to a 6-tier wedding cake. Sugar clung to her sleeves, but the smile on her lips was brighter than any decoration on the cake. Zik had just completed his last delivery of the day. His uniform shirt was soaked with sweat, but his eyes were gleaming. "Need a hand?" he asked as he stepped in. "Only if you're not afraid of turning into live dough," she replied, handing him a jar of melted chocolate. They laughed. The kitchen smelled of love, unspoken, unnamed, but thick in the air. But that sweet moment shattered with a phone notification. Absent-mindedly checking the news app to view the area's power outage schedule, Amara froze at the bold headline at the top of the screen. Young billionaire Ezekiel Omari re-emerges after 3 months in hiding, signs $300 million deal with West African Transport Union. The photo showed Ezekiel standing beside a group of investors, beaming. Blue suit, tall frame, that familiar gaze. Familiar enough to hurt. A voice inside her screamed, "No way!" She swiped to the next image. Closer. Clearer. It was Zik. The same faint scar beneath his left chin. The same quiet smile at the corners of his eyes. The phone slipped from her fingers and hit the floor. The screen shattered into shards. 1 hour later, Zik stood outside the bakery door, knocking softly. He didn't know what she had seen. Didn't know what storm was waiting behind that wooden door. Amara opened it. Silent. Her eyes red, as if she'd been up all night. "I know," she said, voice dry and low. Zik froze. I was going to tell you. I just needed a little more time. How many more cakes? How many more coincidences? How many more fake lives before you'd admit you're Ezekiel Omari? I didn't come here to deceive you. He stepped closer, voice cracking. I came because I was tired of being loved for money, for a title. Here. You saw me as a person, and you thought the best way to be loved truly was to lie? She stepped back. No yelling. No fury. Just disappointment. Like a cake left too long in the oven. Like trust doused with cold water. I don't need your money, Zik, or Ezekiel, or whatever name you go by. I just needed to know the person standing in front of me was real. Zik reached out. She turned away. I don't know what to believe anymore, when even the sweetness in a cake can be masked with fake syrup. Amara stepped inside and gently closed the door, like she was closing the sky itself. Zik stood there, hand lowered, the streetlight catching the glass window, reflecting a face that no longer held a smile. That night, rain returned to Lagos. Relentless, as if unwilling to let go of the city or of a man's aching heart. In his small rented room, Zik placed the delivery cap on the table, staring at it like a fallen emblem. I found someone who saw the real me, and I lost her because I was too afraid to be honest. He turned on his phone and stared at the article again. The man in the photo stared back at him, but there was nothing in that gaze that resembled the man who once sat beside Amara, eating ginger cake. 3 days had passed since that fateful evening. Lagos was still bustling, still traffic jammed, still crowded with people pushing past one another as if nothing had changed. Only Zik had changed. And profoundly. He didn't return to the corporate headquarters. Didn't step onto any conference stage. Instead, every morning, he stood silently in front of Amara's whisk, holding a small bag. In it, a loaf of ginger cake he baked himself. The cake was always warm, and always left unclaimed. Amara never looked at him. Each morning, she walked past him like passing a street lamp, expressionless, wordless. But he kept coming, as if simply standing there was the only way to hold on to what little remained. On Wednesday morning, the skies broke open. Rain poured in torrents, like the city's bottled-up disappointments were finally letting loose. Zik came anyway, drenched to the bone. Inside, Amara was wiping down the counter when she saw his silhouette through the window. Soaked, clutching the ginger cake bag like shielding his heart from the cold. She pressed her lips together and turned away. But an elderly customer, Madame a Joke, their kind neighbor, gently spoke up. "He still comes, child. A man who lets his soul get soaked for a single word of forgiveness is not easy to find." Amara said nothing, just sighed. That afternoon, the shop closed early due to a power outage. Amara walked home slowly through muddy streets. But as she turned into the narrow alley near her house, she froze. The old motorbike Zik once used was parked by the roadside. And Zik, no uniform, no bodyguards, no driver, was helping patch the awning of an elderly woman's roadside drink stall. His shirt was stained with mud, his hands scratched and dirty. No one could tell he was a billionaire. "What are you doing?" Her voice came out, unrestrained. Zik looked up. Those same eyes, ones that once laughed over a burnt cake. "This roof leaks. She's been selling all day under the rain. I couldn't just stand by. You don't have to do this. No one's going to love you more for playing the humble hero." Zik was quiet for a moment, then said, "I'm not doing it for others. I'm doing it for me. I need to know who I am, without the money, without the shares, without the crown. And, when I lost you, I realized everything I had meant nothing if I couldn't share it with you." Amara turned her face away. Her heart trembled slightly. In the rain and in her chest, something began to melt. "You lied. I know. You broke my trust. And I don't expect forgiveness anytime soon. But I'll be here, every day if I have to. Not to win you back, but to become someone worthy of you." That night, for the first time, Amara opened the bag of ginger cake Zik had left. The cake wasn't perfect, but it burned in just the right way, and warmed her at just the right moment. She didn't smile, but a tear quietly fell. Every morning, Zik still came. But instead of standing outside Amara's whisk, he sat at a small tea stall across the street, just watching through the bakery's window, quietly wondering if she was okay today. He no longer tried to approach her. No more baked goods, no more notes. He had learned how to love from a distance. Silently, respectfully. Amara continued running the bakery as always, still baking, still smiling with customers. But those who paid close attention would notice that her smile was missing something. And the small window-side table, where Zik once sat tasting her cakes, remained empty. No one had taken that seat since the day he walked out. One afternoon, the shop was unexpectedly quiet. As Amara flipped through her ledger, an old invoice slipped out. Tucked between the pages, a blueprint of an expanded bakery layout Zik had once shown her, under the name of an anonymous investor. Her hands trembled. She remembered the way Zik's eyes lit up when she had said, "If I ever had a bigger shop, I'd name the center area Zik's Corner." She folded the paper, stood up, and made a decision. That evening, just as Zik was leaving the tea stall, Amara appeared, soaked from the sudden first rain of the season. "You're still here," she said, voice unsure whether to accuse or to thank. "I said I'd be," he replied. "And this time I meant it." She gave a small nod, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a small box. "Ginger butter cake. With a touch of coffee, like you once said you liked." Zik took it, his hand trembling slightly. "You still bake?" she asked softly. "Yeah. 4 people. They don't know it's from me. But they say it tastes honest." He smiled faintly. For a long moment, neither said a word. Only the sound of rain and 2 hearts beating somewhere beneath damp shirts. "Zik," Amara whispered, "I'm not ready to forgive. But I can't pretend I don't miss you. I miss how you listened, How you waited, even when it rained. Zik looked up, and for the first time in many days, his eyes allowed a sliver of hope. I don't expect you to love me again, he said. I just hope you know, I was never playing the part of the good guy. I was just myself when I was with you. They stood there, on the wet Lego street, amidst honking horns and rain pounding the rooftops. No hug, no kiss. Just side by side. Two hearts, still apart, but no longer turning away. And sometimes that's exactly how love begins again. Not with promises, but with patience. What do you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd truly love to read them. There's another beautiful story coming next, so don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to be the first to know. Like and share this story with your friends. You never know who might need it today.